Miss Martin muses and a marvelous midweek, and we are here to muse on the January action challenge that I had put out. I'd put it out on Twitter and in my community notes, where to beat the holiday blues, we'll do 10 action movies with various different topics. And here to share our results along with me is all the way from the north and the future, the one and the only, the Viking himself, Steve Kenobi.
Hello.
Hello, how's the future?
Gray.
Gray, wet, dark, and cold, probably.
More chilly. It's been quite windy today. Other than that, oh yeah, we had some rain, but nothing terrible.
Okay, then. Well, there you are. It's nice and cozy where I am here. And of course, it's well into February, where we have a Valentine's challenge where all you have to do is watch the full Pride and Prejudice 1995, which you have already done.
Yes, I did that. I didn't know there was going to be a challenge or anything like that. You told me to. You told me last year to watch it, and Sense and Sensibility. So I was like, "Fuck it, I haven't seen it, so why not?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty good. I liked Pride and Prejudice more because it's longer. So for me, who haven't read the book, it was better to follow, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because they did have to leave out a lot of details and Sense and Sensibility, and I had to kind of fill you in. But yeah, well, good stuff. Well, speaking of the future, we have Archer Collins. He is there. Yay, caught a Teresa stream. Yes, I know you are still awake because it is afternoon. It's probably cold and wet over where you are too. So thank you for being here. Yeah. And again, if you didn't participate in the action challenge, that's fine. Just go ahead and share as we watch, like what maybe is your favorite, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the picture of the challenge up and we're going to go through each one. So I'm going to begin.
I did not go for favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I just picked one with Schwarzenegger in it that I hadn't seen for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the same with the rest.
Yeah. Well, and for me, in many ways, I could not do a favorite because I hadn't seen most of these. There's only, I think, two rather, that I watched that was not a new one. So for me, it really was a challenge because even though I enjoy a good action movie, I don't necessarily enjoy watching them as much as other people. So I haven't seen a lot. Archer says, hold on, I dropped my stream about action movies and they're talking about Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. Well, I'm just advertising the next challenge. Yeah, we're done with that. Well, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies has action. So, yeah, so the categories are, of course, 1 for Arnold Schwarzenegger, 2 Sylvester Stallone, 3 Bruce Willis, 4 Jason Statham, 5 a martial arts movie, 6 a comedy, 7 a sci-fi female lead, number 8 9 70s movie, and 10 a 90s movie. Now, some of these do overlap. So I gave the rules that if they overlap, you can still do it. Like if you have a Bruce Willis movie that's also from the 90s, I will accept that because this is a casual movie challenge. We're not being too fussy. However, this time around, since I chose to do 10 movies, I was able to get through all of them without cheating. Or not cheating, but without double downing. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start with my first one for the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and that is none other than Conan the Barbarian. Now, this was one that I had seen as a kid, but I hadn't seen it in quite a while. And didn't remember barely anything. I knew the music because I've heard lots of cues from the music and the pictures of James Earl Jones in a very different kind of hairstyle. But I watched it from beginning to end as a grown woman and it was good and very weird. Very, very weird. I can't call it a great movie
It's
because
you know, it's not sticking to the source material whatsoever,
mm-mm,
really. I mean, James Earl Jones playing Thulsa Doom. Thulsa Doom's a King Cole villain. He has nothing to
mhm,
do with Conan.
yes, and his backstory about being a slave, those were not true to it. But I felt physically, except for his hair, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a very Conan-ish type character, and the fact that there were lots of topless women and there was lots of sex, that is true to what you would find in a Conan story. Um,
Yeah, they nailed the atmosphere, the grittiness of it.
mhm,
I thought, but yeah, Conan growing up as a slave, that's so against the character. It's insane.
mhm, yeah, and it just yeah, but it was good. I mean, and I think that people are more forgiving occasionally with some of these, just because, especially with Conan, because maybe, I mean, how many people have actually read the Robert E. Howard books and know all about it and the way it's supposed to be? And I guess I am I right that purism doesn't necessarily lend itself to something like Conan the Barbarian?
Um, well, there are some rules you should follow
Hmm.
because if you change too much, you're too far away from the original, concept. And then if you're too far from it, then you know what's left of it except the
Yeah,
logo.
yeah,
You know, so that there's degrees. Um, but in my opinion, this one's too far from the source material, but by itself, it's a good movie,
hmm,
and it has one of the best soundtracks on screen.
yeah. The score is amazing. I kept remembering, thinking rather, the score is too good for this movie, but that's okay because a lot of some of the best music that we have is from action movies, sci-fi, etc., from recent times.
Yeah, and
Um,
some movies that actually flopped have great scores as well. The
mhm.
Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella and Courtney Cox. Uh,
Yeah,
that one has an amazing soundtrack, but it's the movie it isn't good,
yeah.
and they ran out of money in there at the end too. So He-Man has to fight Skeletor in the dark.
Oh dear.
It's
Oh,
because they didn't have the budget. So, and
wow.
a Cutthroat Island from 1995. That one has an amazing soundtrack as well,
Mm.
which
It's
flopped because it was filmed mostly in the ocean, which isn't good for saving money.
no, not at all. Well, Archer Collin, not only do we know that there is a Conan RPG, we actually played it for more than a year. The Conan one
Yes,
with Steve as our DM.
Teresa played as a thief from Namibia,
Hmm.
and Mara played as a Stygian temptress, and Nina Infinity played as a uh, I think it's called Nordheimer barbarian.
Yeah,
She used
she
a
was
sword in each
brutal.
hand. So yeah, it was. It's better than D&D. The rules are very similar, but the game is just better because there's way more common sense.
Well, and I enjoyed it because it helped me kind of get to know the lore. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, as far as Conan the movie and stuff, I felt like they appreciated it at the Robert E. Howard Museum, for example, and the people that preserve it. Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, I guess, had visited and he had left an autograph and an inscribing thing to the museum, and they had it very proudly displayed there. So I figure if they're kind of cool with it, then so am I. Hello, DJ Play Nice, or at least he had sent it. I don't know if he visited or not, but it is on display. I think I've seen Dungeon Musings play Conan. Oh, okay. Well, cool. All right. Well, so that was my pick for Conan the Barbarian. For number one, it was Conan the Barbarian. And Steve was Terminator Salvation.
No, it was not.
Well, that's what you have on your thing.
It's for sci-fi, which is why it's in number 7.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you have them in order on top?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's my fault.
Yeah, my
Never
number one
mind.
my number 1 is Raw Deal.
Oops.
Hence why it's in spot 1.
Okay, all right. I just looked to see where Arnold Schwarzenegger was. And okay, Raw Deal. I will do better next time.
Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't even in Terminator Salvation.
I don't have in my reading glasses. Raw Deal. I saw Terminator and then I saw it said Salvation. Raw Deal. Well, tell us about Raw Deal, Seek.
Yeah, it's a lot of people call it, Arnold's forgotten 80s movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of is, because it gets no love, no hatred, nothing. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I watched it, because I haven't seen it in 20 years. Basically, Arnold he's a sheriff or whatever. He used to be an FBI agent or something like that. And he goes undercover to infiltrate some mobsters. Robert Davi is in it too, plays one of the henchmen. And then he drives around with a Cadillac at the end and shoots everyone, sticking the assault rifle out the window, holding it with one hand.
Nice.
But it is forgettable. The plot is basic. It's almost no one-liners. The few he has fall flat. And out of Arnold's 80s movies, this is probably the worst, I think. But he had a lot of good ones in the 80s. But this one was, it was a bit of a dud.
Oh, well. But that's part of the whole thing, is that maybe you watch movies that you wouldn't have otherwise and maybe learn some more.
Yeah. So this was probably why I hadn't watched it in 20 years.
Well, there you go. Sentinel. And by the way, the Sentinel is here and he's been away for a while. He's been going, I put that up and I guess he's saying hi in that to Stieg here as well. We have a Dig It Outlaw. Hello, hello, why hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Conroy, for being here. Everyone's waving at each other. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So you probably then wouldn't recommend that I go ahead and watch this movie at all, Raw Deal?
Nah. It's skippable.
Well, okay. That's fair. All right. Well,
the only good scene is at the beginning when his wife has made a cake for him and he looks at her and says, "You shouldn't drink and bake." And she flips out and throws the cake into the wall. That's the only good scene in it, really.
Wow. Well, that actually, hey, I've wanted to throw a few things like that.
Throw a cake then.
Okay. Or a cupcake. All right. We have my number 2 for Sylvester Stallone, and it was Rambo, a movie I had not seen. I had only seen First Blood and maybe the second one, but not any of the others. Now, this one was in the 2000s.
Yeah, this is, for those of you who don't know, Rambo, the title Rambo is the 4th movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first. even though
Yeah.
everyone says Rambo about the first one too.
Yeah. And I was surprised because when you were telling me about it, I'm like, Rambo 4, and you were like, Rambo. It's like, well, I know it's Rambo, but which one? And it was like, that is Rambo 4. But if you do Google Rambo 4, you will find it. But
Yeah,
um,
Rambo 4 is a beast of a movie.
yes, I got it on Blu-ray. I got it at the half price store, and it looked gorgeous. The scenery, rather. I mean,
Yeah,
but the violence. Oh, it was brutal. And from what I understand, they had gotten a little bit of pushback, like maybe the studio did wanted to edit it down, but they held fast because they were like, no, this is what is going on at the time. And this movie actually brought awareness to that. And I think I heard it was very inspiring to some people in that area. But yeah, it's brutal. It has a chick from Dexter, it has Rita in it. They're Christian missionaries. And she was kind of not the heart of the movie. Well, maybe a little bit because Rambo at this point, he obviously had decided he was just going to stick around in his little store thing on his little boat and just didn't really want to think about anything beyond himself. But she kind of got into his conscience. And I think that he was attracted to, not in a physical way. And that was also very refreshing. The power of good kind of got to him. And I think that she went on a very good journey and it had a happy ending, I guess, if it can, but it brought you through the ringer.
yeah, and Stallone was, I think it was 64 or 66 when it did this, and it did all his stunts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which, and he's sprinting through the jungle like someone who's 25.
Yes.
You know,
Well, and not just that, there's that famous scene. I used it on my Twitter when I would describe that this is what I watched, where he just comes up from behind the bad guy. And oh, it was brutal. And he like tore out a guy's neck with his own bare hands. It's like, yikes.
yeah, and then
So,
he proceeds to kill half a country.
yeah. Yes. Well,
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
the machine gun. I mean, you see limbs flying and
mhm,
heads exploding. You know,
yeah. Yeah. Well, but I think because they did show in such graphic terms what these bad guys was doing, you were completely on board for them to get everything that was coming to them. I mean, no mercy on them, and because they certainly did not show mercy at all in this.
no,
Whoop. And then there was a tagline. It was like, "Live for nothing or die for something." That was
yeah,
something to think about. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Salty Traveling Sea is here. I want a Predator sequel with Steve as the action hero.
yeah,
I
yeah. I'll go like look at the predator and go, I hope you haven't eaten because you're about to get a belly full of lead, you piece of shit. Or I don't know.
wow. And then you would die.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
splat.
Yeah. Thank you for hitting that. Yes, please hit the like button. Thank you. Wow.
Well, the joke would be that I actually said that at the store and not to the actual predator.
Yeah. Well, hey, stuff goes down at a store. It really does.
It
My
does.
rage. You could tell stories. You could do a whole stream of tales from the. Well, it's not a spar, but it's something similar to a spar store that you go to. Alrighty, so I would definitely recommend this movie. It was surprisingly good. I mean, I knew it was going to kind of be good, but I didn't realize how much the story itself was going to impact me. So, very good stuff. If you haven't seen it, please go
Yeah,
ahead and do so.
Rambo 4 is, in terms of story, is probably second only to the first one.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's too far behind the first one either.
Mm. Wow. Well, the first one I think really kind of gets to a lot of people because it's the story of so many Vietnam vets. That was
Yeah, and
when it
it's
was.
also based on a novel that sold really well.
Hmm.
So it has the advantage of being based on a story someone took a lot of time writing and thinking,
Hmm.
you know, thinking up, instead of Rambo 2 and 3 are basically, hey, yeah, we need a sequel where he kills as many people as possible. Just come up with a reason for it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, precisely. So good stuff. So Rambo the movie, and Steak for his Sylvester Stallone was The Expendables 3.
Yep. Um, I had watched 1 and 2 last year, so I was, gonna
Oops.
finish it off. The Expendables 3 is fun. Um, it's also PG-13, which it should never have been. Because it
Ah.
started as an R-rated franchise, it should continue as that. You know,
Hmm.
um, Bruce Willis wasn't allowed to be in it because he demanded, what was it, $2 million for 20 hours of work or whatever. It was like some insane amount, so they threw him out. And he got replaced by Harrison Ford, and they took a jab at it in the movie too, because Stallone asks Ford, where's Church, which was Willis's character, and Ford replies, Church is no longer in the picture. So,
Yeah.
but Wesley Snipes joins the cast in this one, and like I said, Harrison Ford. Mel Gibson plays an excellent villain, and who else is introduced? Kelsey Grammer for some reason. He's more of a handler though,
Hmm.
and Antonia Banderas, who probably steals most of the scenes he's in. He's great in this, but basically Mel Gibson is a character from Stallone's past in this, and they're at odds with each other. And he shoots one of the Expendables, and they try to get him, and he wants to get them. So it's like huge showdown happens. But as far as the first three movies goes, this is the worst of the first three. The number four is horrendous. Came out, I think it was last year or whatever. That
Yeah, I heard
one's
all about it.
yeah. That's it doesn't even count. It's so bad. But this one, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It,
Okay.
yeah, I still think 2 is the best one. Uh, but yeah, PG-13 hurt this one a bit, I think, and so did they tried to add a bunch of new younger actors to the
Hmm.
cast, and the fans didn't like it because they haven't earned it. They didn't do action movies in the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they had Ronda Rousey in there. What the hell has she done, right?
Yeah.
They,
Yeah. Just a.
there's so many older female action stars that they could have used
Hmm.
instead of her. Heck, they could have used Sharon Stone. You know, she's actually done quite a few action movies in that correct time period too.
Yeah, it's a classic example of they don't quite understand their audience.
I think it was the studio that interfered a bit, actually.
Yeah. Well, when in doubt, it's the studio messing up everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. Alrighty, so that's Expendables 3. And I think it's kind of funny, though, because a lot of these movies definitely could have been used for overlapping. Like this could have worked, obviously, for Sylvester Stallone or many of those others. And another
Yeah,
thing that could have
it
overlapped
just
is
it just would not have worked for Willis.
that's true, not the
No.
third one, but it could have worked for the first one. But speaking
Y-
of Bruce Willis, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, uh, the Expendables. If you had done the Expendables too, you could have covered a lot of them with just one.
Hmm. Yep. Well, there we go. Archer Collins says, never seen Expendables movie, but every time I hear the name, I think of a short series of sci-fi books about planet provers recruited from criminals. Now, yeah, those kind
Well,
of things do.
if you like action movies and the old action stars and stuff, I'd say watch Expendables 1 and 2.
Mm, yeah. Alrighty. Well, we're going to move on to our Bruce Willis movies, and mine was Die Harder or Die Hard 2. I had already just gotten done watching the movies with my parents, the first one, the first Die Hard, and the nephew, he was still home from college, and he was like, "Hey, Aunt, let's watch um, the Bruce Willis one," because he was aware of my challenge and he wanted to see Die Hard 2 he never had. So we watched it, and it was much worse than I remembered it. I remember seeing it in the cinema and liking it a lot back in the 90s or 1990, I believe. But oh my gosh, it was almost laughably bad. And the best part was the wife up in the airplane when they found out that that jerk that she had punched him in the face in the first movie, they were giving her champagne and stuff, and they were all hating on him, and I liked that part of it. But it was really contrived the way they're at an airport, and even though it was even prior 9/11, airport security was a lot better than that. They just kept saying, "Oh, who cares if people broke into this sensitive area? It's no big deal. Go home." And I was like, "Come on, this is ridiculous." Uh, but it was very satisfying, especially at the end. You wanted all those bad guys to get exactly what they had coming to them. And also the surprise twist that one of the guys that they thought was on their side really wasn't. And they had fake machine guns. That was something. So that was a bit of a twist. So I would say that this was very entertaining. We laughed at the wrong parts, unfortunately, but we did enjoy ourselves for just a Saturday night hanging out.
Yeah, it also had Robert Patrick in it,
Mm.
who would shortly after do Terminator 2, play the T-1000. He played one of the henchmen.
He did indeed. Yeah. That's what I also enjoy that's why I enjoy the movies that we've been watching, because sometimes you'll see rather famous faces playing tiny little roles and you're like, "Oh, eventually they're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna be
you
seeing that."
you see that a lot in X-Files. In the early
Yeah.
seasons of the X-Files, there's a lot of people who
Yeah.
has probably surpassed both the leads in terms of fame at this point.
Yeah, indeed, or definitely a lot of character actors. Now, I'm going back to Archer Collins' comment a little while back because he said, "Oh wait, whoops, that's the wrong one." He had chosen Die Hard for Bruce Willis, and please, everyone, feel free to share what yours would be. And he's not sure he's ever seen a Jason Statham movie, but yes. So, um, I mean, what can I say? You feel bad saying that it's implausible because a lot was implausible in the first movie, but it was probable, if that makes a sense.
Yeah,
In
uh, I rewatched Die Hard 2 as well a while ago. It's not on my list though.
yeah,
But that scene where they throw all the grenades into the cockpit of the plane
yeah,
that Willis is in, it takes like forever for the grenades to detonate. When every other grenade in every other movie detonates almost right away.
hmm
So it's like, yeah, plot armor delay on the grenades. But it's still a fun movie, and Die Hard 2 is the first Die Hard movie I ever watched. I watched 2 before 1. simply because a
Hmm.
friend had it on VHS and
Hmm.
nobody had one. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's the way it was back in the day. You watched what your friends had, and or you all got
yeah,
together and pooled your money to rent a movie. Well,
yeah,
Steve's choice for this one is The Last Man Standing.
yeah. Set in the, I think it's set in the 30s or 40s. It
Hmm.
is a remake of, is it a fistful of dollars or a few dollars more? It's one of them. I mixed those together. It's basically the Clint Eastwood movie where he, there's two gangs in town and he kind of works both of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the story, but it's starring Bruce Willis. Um, and there's Italians and Irish families at war in a small town, and he basically plays both sides. Eventually gets burned, but then there's a hell of a lot of shooting, and he comes out on top. Christopher Walken is in it as one of the Irish enforcers. He is great in this movie.
Ooh.
He steals the show. He is intimidating as heck. Um, and some of the famous faces that you've seen. David Patrick Kelly is in it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's a name not heard in a long time. Yeah.
yeah.
That's,
Um, but
that's
lots of shooting. It is pistol porn
oh,
almost.
I'm just trying to think, imagining the last thing I would want to be between is an Irish and Italian feud. I mean, holy
Yeah,
crud.
yeah, and it's brutal. It's it's very brutal.
Yikes. Well, all right. I might
But
actually like to watch that. Could that count for
oh,
St.
well,
Patrick's Day movie like in March?
probably.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's. I'd give it a strong 7 out of 10.
Hmm.
But it's closer to getting to the 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it does exactly what it's supposed to do and it does it well. The story is not deep at all. There's hardly any twists in it. It's very straightforward. Uh, but it's fun. You know, great entertainment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the most important thing is that are you enjoying yourself? And yeah, these things don't have to be masterpieces. Well, speaking of which, this is where we're going to overlap back and forth somewhat. Jason Statham, number four. My choice was The Expendables.
Yeah,
I'd never seen them at all.
it's fun. It's fun. Thin story, but it's fun.
Yeah, Dolph. The I'm always get self-conscious pronouncing him. The guy from Rocky Four was in it, of course, and I thought he looked fantastic. And there were some really genuinely funny moments, and I kind of had to pull it a bit out of my butt because Jason Statham, he was a major part of the movie, but Bruce Willis or other Sylvester Stallone always tends to dominate whenever he's on something. I found it particularly brutal, maybe more brutal than I thought. Like when they were doing the torture scene, they were waterboarding a woman. That woman, that was really hard to watch for me.
Well, the
Um,
villains did it, not Stallone.
oh yes, yes, I should say that. Yeah, but just to see it, it was a little bit unexpected, and I find it hard to say that I enjoyed this movie, though. I told you when I mentioned to you earlier that a few days ago or whatever, I just didn't like too much. It was like too much blowing up, too much shooting. And I know it's an action movie, but I got fatigue by the end of it.
Yeah, like I said, the second one is way better.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the actions and explosions in this one is they just have it to have it. You know,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, great cast though. You have Stallone, Statham. You have Dolph Lundgren. Jet Li is in it. He's great in this one. Uh,
Mm.
Eric Roberts is in it. Mickey Rourke. who's probably the best actor in the movie in terms of skill.
Yeah. Well, and there were my favorite moment was when he beat the living crap out of the bastard who had been sleeping with his girlfriend, and then he took the basketball and put his knife into it. It was that was pretty that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's the Statham just like he found out his girlfriend had been roughed up or something, and he just goes to the place and beats them up and destroys their basketball.
Yeah. And then he says to her, "Now you know what I do for a living."
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, so there were moments. There were moments, and it was funny. But
Well,
yes, every
you know the one of the best ones is at the beginning when they're dealing with the pirates,
hmm
and Dolph Lundgren is told to do a warning shot, and he just shoots one of them in half and goes warning shot.
yeah,
Well, technically it is because it's a warning to the rest of them.
one hell of a warning. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. I'm like, dude, the firepower that he had. Yeah, so good stuff. Okay, so that was mine. The Expendables, and Steve's. Yours was the Transporter.
Yep. Jason Statham in the lead. I think he's the only known actor in that one that I remember.
hmm
He's a transporter. He does driving gigs for people, and he's very meticulous about it too. At the beginning, he's doing like a getaway driving from a bank robbery,
hmm
and he was told, yeah, there was supposed to be three people, not four. One of you have to leave, or I'm not driving. Stuff like that. But he gets in trouble with uh, what was it, former CIA or something that has a lot more firepower, and they've kidnapped a Chinese girl. And her dad is played by remember Indiana Jones 2,
hmm
Lao She's son, who has the broken hand because Indy had broken his hand.
Hmm.
He plays the dad.
Huh.
He's a villain,
Okay.
but lots of driving, lots of action. Uh, Statham is like he's fighting like a bunch of guys at the same time, so he smears himself with grease so they can't get a grip on him. So he's like all baconed up and fighting them. Lots of it's really cheesy, but it is pure fun. And yeah, the Transporter movie is fun. I recommend it to anyone who just wants to shut their brains off for an hour and a half and just watch some fun, silly action violence.
Yeah. Well, my brother-in-law, he wondered why I didn't choose the Transporter for it, and I was like, well, yeah, I never heard of it. So I'm definitely going to be watching that in the near future. The whole bacon grease thing. Didn't you do that in one of our campaigns? I that rings a bell. That someone was
Yeah,
covered in bacon grease.
yeah.
So is this where you got the idea?
No,
Oh, okay.
I didn't even remember it because I hadn't seen this movie since it came out.
Hmm.
I just
Well,
had one that was wearing bacon grease because it would be messed up.
oh, well, it certainly was. All right, going on to number 5 for martial arts. I watched Bloodsport, which was a horrible movie, but oh my gosh, was it fun?
Yeah, the
It,
acting in it is questionable,
more
but
than questionable.
the music's great. The action, the fighting scenes are amazing.
Yes,
You know,
I mean,
but yeah, you can tell that Van Damme is not a. Yeah, he's a better actor now,
mhm,
but that doesn't say much, does it?
mm-mm. Well, it starts off with him like training, and he was doing like crazy stuff, like balancing on chairs, and I mean, what was it? It was like in a stretching machine thing. It was. insane. And then when he gets to this secret and illegal tournament of, I
which
guess,
is a real
I,
tournament
mm,
because the guy he's playing is a real person and he is still alive.
yes, and they even say that at the end of the movie. Of course, some people question some of the details of it, and it's like, well, of course,
Oh, heck yes, it's been embellished. You
yeah,
know, yeah, it's Hollywooded up, but yeah,
yeah. If you'd like to
and
see men beating the shit out of each other using martial arts, any kind of martial arts, this is the movie for you.
some of the fighters they used because they try to have like it's almost like one from each area of the world, and they're the stereotype
Hmm.
from that
Yes.
area. Um, the guy from Africa would not fly today.
No.
That
No.
that was the racism was thick with that character. See, seriously, that was racist.
My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it. I guess we can kind of describe it, but they basically were literally having him act like a monkey. It was
Yeah,
bad. I was
and
like,
he
dude.
when he trained, he cracked coconuts
Yeah, it
by
was just
karate chopping them. I was like, yeah,
no.
that one. If that didn't, if this had been made today and people complained about that, uh, I would have completely understood.
Yes.
In this
Yes.
movie, though, given how kind of goofy and cheesy and stereotypical everything is in it,
Hmm.
you can kind of excuse it with, yeah, it's a product of its time because a lot of movies back then were like that. But
I was over the
that
top.
character was too much.
Yep. So I would still, of course, recommend this. And like a lot
Oh
of
hell
these,
yes,
they're not too long. Yeah. Most of these movies
and
were 90 minutes.
yeah, and they had Forrest Whitaker in it,
Mm.
um, and Donald Gibb, who, played the American he befriended. He was awesome
Yes.
in it.
Yeah, it's like you recognize a lot of these people, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
Well, you're
if you watch more Van Damme movies, you'll see several of these fighters pop up in other movies.
mhm. Alright. Well, Stieg, your choice was Lionheart.
Yeah, um, Van Damme's acting is better in this,
Mm.
quite a bit better. Uh, he plays he's a member of the Foreign Legion stationed in Africa. While he's there, his brother gets set on fire uh, by, I guess, drug dealers or something in LA. So Van Damme deserts and escapes on a ship to America. And he arrives in New York. He has no money, he has nothing. And he starts doing like little, street fights for money
Mm.
so he can get to LA. But then he gets involved with uh, some people who are uh, organizing bigger events to make money and from bets and all that stuff. And once he gets to LA, he realizes, oh shit, my brother has a little girl, and um, his brother has died at the hospital. So the little girl and his brother's wife are about to get evicted and stuff like that. So he starts secretly giving them money because he can't reveal to them that he is who he is because
Mhm.
the French Foreign Legion are chasing him for
Yeah.
desertion. So a lot of stuff, and he's traveling with I forget his name, black actor. He played I don't know if you remember a show called Sledgehammer,
I
comedy
do
show.
not.
He played the sergeant in that one, Sledgehammer's boss. He's awesome in this. But yeah, this actually has a story. unlike Bloodsport. This has a very good story for an action movie and really good fighting, and it also has
Well,
some twists. So
yeah.
8 out of 10 for this.
Well, there you go. I know that this is one that you've recommended I watch as well. So, woo. But I was happy to watch Bloodsport because apparently every dude at least knows what that movie is. I hadn't even heard of it. So,
Yeah,
good time.
it's probably the movie Van Damme's most known for,
Hmm.
I guess.
Yeah, we'll definitely put him on the map. But I am glad that he got good, better acting because yeah,
Yeah.
he was it hurt to watch him try to pull off some of those lines in the other movie. Well, going on to number 6.
Well,
Um,
you have watched a Hard Target with Van Damme
yes, he's much
before, and
better in that.
yeah, he is much better in that one.
Yeah,
Not that
he
he's
definitely.
great, but he's better.
Yeah, he will never get an Academy Award for acting for sure. Okay. Well,
No.
my number 6 for the comedy is The Nice Guys, a movie I had never even heard about. But Steve recommended this. It's got Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe in it as basically well, Ryan Gosling's character is a private detective, and Russell Crowe is an enforcer, like someone that gets hired to go beat up other people. Like, for example, there was a dude that was with a man's underage daughter, and so the guy hired him to go kick the living crap out of him. So those are the kinds of gigs that he would do. And Ryan Gosling has a daughter who's 13 who is very street smart. Let me just put it to you that way. And they end up solving together, some big thing. And it's very hard to describe what's going on in this movie because, like, at first I'm thinking, what's happening? What are we even watching? And then slowly I just realized this is kind of funny. Like a lot of these quips and lines back and forth. And Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe had fantastic chemistry and it was good. I really enjoyed it. Once I got into it, once I got going, I watched it straight through. And it's unfortunate. I think it had bad timing with its release, and so it didn't perform very well. So there were no sequels. I think this is something that could have had a sequel. Oh, whoops! I thought I had it up
I
there.
I I think they released it at the same time as Avengers,
Mm,
so
yeah.
it had no chance, you
Mm-mm.
know. But like you said, the acting's top notch, and the little girl, she probably steals the scenes she's in.
Mm-hmm.
She's she's hilarious. And you have Keith David in there playing a thug, uh,
Mm.
and Kim Basinger as well.
Oh yeah. Not often that you see her. Yeah, she
Yeah,
played in there, and it was set in the 70s. I should have said that too, and that's what made it also kind of quirky. I,
yeah,
Everyone's smoking everywhere. They have those cars, they have the guns, and
yeah. And Ryan Gosling's kind of useless,
mhm.
but he tends to like stumble onto things. You
Yeah,
know?
like he somehow doesn't die. That was one of the running gags. Like he kept having situations that he should have been dead in.
Yeah, and he also just stumbles onto evidence they need.
Hmm.
And yeah, uh, I really enjoy this movie. Like you said, it's underrated,
Hmm.
and I saw Russell Crowe talk about it. How mostly fans will ask him about Gladiator and Master
Hmm.
and Commander, and then it's this one because people want a sequel.
I believe it, and it's
Yeah,
different from the kind of roles you see him do.
yeah, he actually gets to be quite funny. He's mostly doing serious roles, isn't he? All
Hmm.
through his career, but I think this one is similar to 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte
Hmm.
because it's technically a buddy cop movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets there, doesn't it? Yeah, even though technically that's not what they are. And of course, the real cops hate their guns.
Yeah,
pains in the butt. Okay, so that was my comedy, and yours was Shanghai Noon.
Yeah, Shanghai Noon with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan, and Lucy Liu is in it, and Walton Goggins. Basically, Jackie Chan plays one of the imperial guards in China, and the princess Pei gets kidnapped and taken to America, and him and some others, some other imperial guards go after her to pay the ransom, right? So they have gold with them.
Hmm.
Owen Wilson and Walton Goggins and his gang robs the train they're on, takes the gold because they're in the Wild West, right?
Yep.
Owen Wilson's completely useless. He just wants to be, a famous gunslinging robber, but he can't even shoot,
Oh dear.
right? So he can't shoot, he can't fight or anything. Jackie Chan, however, can fight big time. Uh, Lots of well, he beats the crap out of some Indians who tries to
Oh,
kill him. Oh yeah, um, this is lighthearted as heck, and like Jackie Chan kind of made a career out of doing what you would see in stunt movies.
hmm.
Sorry, silent movies, right? Where you have physical comedy like slapstick
Hmm.
and stuff, but he combines it with fighting. You know,
Yeah.
so it's
But
almost like it's like if the Three Stooges knew kung fu.
oh my.
Yeah, it's
See.
yeah, it's fun. It has a sequel called Shanghai Nights as well, where Owen Wilson goes with Jackie Chan to China,
Oh dear.
so he's out of his area over there. So, and
Yeah.
the the two of them have chemistry. It's great. It's fun. It's not a masterpiece, but it's certainly one you would rewatch because it's simply lighthearted fun.
Hmm. Well, there you have it. You heard it here first. I really have no clue. I've not seen anything by Jackie Chan that I can even think of. So this is new territory
Well,
for me. But
actually, watch this one if you want to watch one.
yeah, well, it's one I've heard about for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to sci-fi. My sci-fi movie was Predators. Technically, Predator 3. This is the guy from the piano player who won an Oscar, and in a role that you definitely would not expect him in an action role. He really worked to really beef himself up, got himself a six pack. And well, I guess we should say, obviously, there's spoilers that go along with these movies, but it's about a group of people that the predators are really trying to up their ante, and they're like serial killers, or they're psychopaths, or they're like elite CIA, Navy SEAL types. One was an IDF member, and they're dropped in the middle of this jungle and being hunted by these predators. And there's lots of twists and turns, and just awesome action. And by the end, I mean, they have been put through the ringer. And the ones that survive, it's very realistic that they do survive, but holy crap, was it a ride?
Yeah, a superb cast. You have Danny Trejo is in there, and Adrian Brody, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, who's like, how did they get him?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a huge Oscar. He won Best Acting, right? For playing a Jewish piano player during World War II, and now he's in Predator 3, right? So that's quite a jump.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
didn't you tell me he was a huge fan, and that was part of it?
yes, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
saw an interview with it, and he was like, "Yeah, I grew up watching this movie, and like he couldn't say no
Mm-hmm.
because he was a huge fan of Arnold and the Predator stuff and action movies, and he said, I get it. they don't see me as an action star, right? But I'm gonna do
Mhm.
my best, and he's not gonna try to top Arnold or anything because he realized he can't.
No.
So he did what he could with the character, and I think he did exactly what was needed for this movie. Um, 'Cause, if people go, yeah, but he's no Arnold. Yeah, yeah, he's not supposed to be. Danny
Yeah.
Glover wasn't supposed to be Arnold either in Predator 2. You know,
No.
you can't just make a new one with a new Arnold character in every movie.
No.
That would just be might as well watch Terminator then, because Arnold comes off an assembly line in that one.
Yeah.
But Predator, for being a third movie, it's good.
Mhm.
It's I still think one and two are better, but I wouldn't say this is any kind of. It's not a massive downgrade or anything.
Not at all. No. I agree with you about 2. I loved 2. It is definitely very good, but this is a good one, and it's a little bit different, so I would definitely highly recommend it, and thank goodness I already have this one ready for reasons. Your sci-fi is there we go, Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, Terminator 4, starring Christian Bale, and the guy from Avatar. I keep forgetting his
Mhm.
name. Helena Bonham Carter is in it a little bit too. Um, yeah, it's set in the future. The future we see in Terminator 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
And John Connor is an adult, and Kyle Reese is a young man. And uh, shit, what the Avatar guy? I keep forgetting his name. He rescues Kyle Reese because Skynet wants him killed because Skynet knows something about him, and then John Connor finds out that Skynet wants Kyle Reese killed. So he's like, shit, if they kill him, I'll never be born, right?
Mhm.
So there's a bit of a Kyle Reese, needs to survive kind of thing. Kyle Reese is played by, that Star Trek actor who passed away by crashing his car at the studio a few years ago. Anton
Oh,
Yelchin,
the
who,
Russian dude or the guy who played the well, actually, it wasn't at the
yeah,
studio, but it was like a real freak car accident, like,
yeah,
it was in his driveway.
yeah, something like that. And superb actor. He would have had a big career, I think. He plays Kyle Reese, does it really well. Um, Here's the thing: this one is PG-13, not a good thing in a Terminator movie,
Mm-mm.
and they dumbed down the Terminators because you know from the other movies that if a Terminator's out to get you and he grabs
Mhm.
you, you're done,
Yeah.
right? That's it. That's why they're running away from them, right? In
Yeah.
this one, several John Connor gets grabbed several times and is the main target, and that should be it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they throw him away and walk after him to grab him and throw him again.
Oh, that's
Even a
ridiculous.
Terminator with no legs grabs a hold of him, tosses him towards the downed chopper, and then crawls after him. So the fans started calling it Throwminator, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and but it isn't horrible. You know, the Terminator movies that came after this are way worse. But it didn't look like the future we see in those glimpses in Terminator 1 and 2 because they didn't
Ah.
have the laser plasma weapons or whatever it is. They were not in this movie,
Well, that
and
was a
they
missed
should have been.
opportunity. Yeah,
Yeah.
a missed opportunity to give us what we saw. Yeah. I heard a lot of bad things about this movie. A lot of people didn't like it that I know. I've never bothered.
uh it maybe I'm a little bit biased now because of the two that came after are so much worse.
Yeah.
But I'd say this one is kind of like a guilty pleasure movie,
Hmm. Okay.
but kind of like what three is. But yeah, this isn't a movie you have to watch. I mean, if you wanna if you want a solid and complete story, watch Terminator 1 and 2,
Okay.
right? But I wouldn't tell people not to watch this either. You know,
All right. That's fair. Yeah. It's kind of like the Rings of Power made The Hobbit look better. Maybe a little like
yes,
that was going.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, DJ Play Nice has to go. Have fun. Take care of your crew and rock. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Um, all right. So that's Terminator
Oh,
Salvation. Yeah, I'm not going to
yeah. Oh,
rush to watch it.
this is also the movie where Bale lost his shit and cussed out the camera guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was having a bad day. He needs to be like me and learn how to do Pilates or something where he can do deep breathing.
I think
But
the
I,
press made more out of it than they needed to, because apparently Bale apologized
yeah.
before it had even leaked out. You know, the audio. He'd apologized and done the normal thing. You know, sorry, I lost my temper, and then did a handshake, right?
Yeah.
So it was already a non-issue. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Something similar happened with Tom Cruise. I remember during Mission Impossible because it was during all the COVID stuff and someone broke protocols and he totally lost it because that could have actually made them shut down the whole production. So I people lose their temper. They're human.
yeah, but with Tom Cruise, I get it because the strict rules were imposed on them.
Yeah.
So um, it could have actually tanked the whole movie and the franchise,
Yep.
because it could have been canceled if it had been postponed or just put into limbo.
Precisely. Yeah. Well, I've been in situations like that where I've gone off on people that have broken protocols. It's a thing. We're human. But in any case, Hollywood sucks and leakers suck even more, especially if they're doing it for drama. Moving on to sci fi, Underworld Evolution was mine, the second movie in the Underworld. It is a bunch of vampires, but very, very
No, no,
actiony.
no. You're using this for female lead, not sci-fi. You got Predators for sci-fi.
Oh, duh. Sorry, we're on to female lead. We're on female lead now for Underworld Evolution. Thank you. Um, and number 8. So Underworld Evolution, and it has see the character's name is Selena, and it's Kate Beckinsale, who I know mainly from Jane Austen kind of things and Bonnet movies, and she is a very good action character, but it's it's like a vampire feud that between vampires and werewolves that had gone back for 1,000 years, and it's a continuation of the first movie. And while we do get some flashbacks to the prequel, like the first part of the movie is a small prequel, it's continuing on with her and the werewolf dude, and they fall in love. And it's a roller coaster ride. I didn't like it as much as the first one. I was actually quite cranky with there was a blue filter on the whole movie that after a while got really annoying. I realized why they were doing it because I think they were trying to show that, hey, it's nighttime. This is a vampire. She has to be going around doing this stuff in nighttime. But it did make it difficult. And I think that that's where movies maybe need to make a few exceptions. I can't say anything too bad about it, but I also can't say anything really good about it. I mean, it was fine. And if you want to see some good kick ass moments, it was fine. But definitely, I would stick with the first one. That's my opinion.
It's kind of like Terminator 1. The big bad is chasing them.
Hmm. Exactly. Yes.
Oh, Tony Curran, who played the main baddie vampire, he was really
Mhm.
good in this.
Yes. Yeah, and he did. You're right. It was very Terminator-ish because he was going around and every person that
Yeah,
they came in contact with, he would kill. So you sympathize because the character's like, no, no, leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this. And it's like, yeah, because they all ended up dead. It's like, come on, people.
yeah. Uh, I still like it, but the first one's miles better.
Yeah.
It
Well, there's
is
always
the uh, the first one's awesome.
mhm.
Actually, this one is sequel syndrome.
Yeah, sophomore slump.
Yeah, it's not terrible though, but it's just you know
It just is what it is. It did highlight the appeal which I have towards movies where the characters are ancient. So they've been living for like hundreds of years, thousand years in some cases, and the wisdom that comes with it, the idea of being an immortal living on the earth. Um, so yeah, Brother Cadfile was Derek Jacobi. So he stole every single scene that he was in. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely worth watching if you have it on streaming, but I'm not sure I would have liked to have seen this one in the cinema at all. Oops, wrong button. All right. So yours, Steve, was a movie named Doomsday.
Yes, Doomsday, starring Rona. Is it Rona Mitra? She's
Sounds good to me.
actually in. She's actually in the Underworld prequel, the one that takes place in the Dark Ages, that starts the war between the vampires and the werewolves. So
Ah,
third
yes.
movie. She plays Victor's daughter, and she
Oh.
was a badass in that one, and she certainly is a badass in this one. Basically, a pandemic has happened. Virus has broken out, and they seal off Scotland from England to try and contain the virus. Years
Hmm.
pass and all that stuff, and satellite photos show that people are alive in Scotland when they should be dead. So they're not extinct, and that means someone's immune to the illness, who has now started to spread in England, despite the thing, despite them having sealed off Scotland,
Yeah.
right? So they send in the leading lady to try and find a doctor in Scotland that's supposedly alive, who might have a cure. That is Malcolm McDowell, by the way, plays the doctor.
Ah, nice casting.
Um, yeah, it's got Sean Pertwee is in it. The English guy who shows up in all kinds of stuff.
Hmm.
And the late great Bob Hoskins
Woo.
is in it. Alexander Siddig as well. So it has a very good cast. Scotland though has gone full Mad Max in all those years. So there's like cannibals and gangs,
Oh,
tribes, right?
oh gosh, in
Yeah.
Scotland. Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah.
it. Whoa.
There's like yeah, and the main guy even has like a henchwoman. Uh, I don't think it's an actress. I think it's a stunt woman playing her. She's running around with two swords. How she got the swords, I don't know, but apparently swords show up. And yeah, they're cannibals. And
What?
then at the end, there's a fantastic chase sequence with cars. Oh yeah, and Rona Mitra in it. She lost her eye when she was a kid, so she now has a cybernetic eye that she can remove. So she
Ooh.
just sticks it, because it has a camera in it or something. So she just sticks it around the corner, right, to see if there's someone down the hall. you know,
Huh.
uh,
Well,
useful. She is awesome in this. She does the action scenes and all that really well. It actually looks believable when she defeats opponents.
oh, cool.
You know, um, but yeah, fun standalone guilty pleasure action fun thing, popcorn flick. Worth a watch.
Yes.
Definitely worth a watch.
Alrighty. Well, there you go. So next we have um, for the 1970s the exact same movie. We chose the exact same movie, and it was Dirty Harry.
Yeah, freaking iconic movie.
Hell yes, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
Gosh, it was good.
you know how they keep saying that the heroes are only as good as their villains and stuff. The
Hmm.
villain in this is fantastic. He's one of the slimiest villains that's ever been on screen.
Yeah, what a jerk. And it was
Yeah.
so funny to me because he was in Ryan's Hope. That's where I had seen him, where he played like a really good guy in the soap opera Ryan's Hope. And then I'm watching him in this. I'm like, holy shit. And there was nothing redeeming in this man. I mean, he went for kids. Oh, it was so evil.
Oh, he went for anyone, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And he, of course, my gosh. It was really bad. And when he got what was coming to him, it was beautiful. And of course, Clint Eastwood is in probably one of his most iconic roles. I've always heard of the whole, I know what you're thinking. I might have lost track in all the excitement. Is there six bullets or is there one left? And you just have to ask yourself one question. Do you feel lucky? Well, punk, do you? And the first time he does it, it is with a bank robber, and he kind of pulls it off. His line, it was badass. But when he does it to this killer who is just the worst of the absolute worst that you can possibly imagine, he's like shaking as he says it, with just unbridled fury. It's like, do you feel lucky? And mm,
Well, the first
so
time
good.
he's actually gunning down robbers while eating a hot dog.
Oh yeah, he
You know,
doesn't even put down the hot dog, does he?
yeah, he's walking around with a hot dog, shooting.
Chewing.
Yeah, it's just shooting in the villains or rather the robbers.
Yeah.
Lots of one-liners in this.
Hmm. Yeah, and it also shows the jadedness of being a cop, just seeing that all the time, and
Yeah,
just the terrible people they have to deal with day after day. And you can see how sometimes cops go bad when you really think about it with what they see day after day after day.
and this movie is one of the reasons why Star Wars became a massive hit, because the 70s is full of these very bleak uh, movies. You know,
Hmm.
Rocky and Star Wars is, and at the end Superman. But
Yes.
other than that, it's very doom and gloom in the 70s, which is probably why Rocky got a lot of cheer, and so did Star Wars, because all of a sudden you had a classic good versus evil kind of thing. Well,
Hmm.
not in Rocky, but it was the underdog. You
Yeah.
had something to cheer for. You know, uh, I mean the French Connection with Gene Hackman, that has like a 10-minute scene of Gene Hackman, who plays a cop, chasing a bad guy and then shooting him in the back
Mm.
once he gets him. So it's very. Uh, I think it had a little bit to do with uh, Hollywood responding to the war in Vietnam, which left a lot of people with a kind of like a bleak outlook.
Yeah. Very jaded.
Yeah. So, and this was one of them, because this is not a cheerful movie.
No.
And Dirty Harry is, while he's the protagonist, you wouldn't call him a hero.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't do heroic stuff. He's like, yeah, you're the bad guy, you're gonna die.
Yeah. Well, I would disagree with you slightly. I think he does do heroic stuff, but I think that he's in a place where heroic deeds don't get appreciated. Like when he goes
Yeah,
up to save the
yeah,
guy who was going to jump off the building. I mean, he did it. He still saved the person. That was heroic. He still put his life on the line.
yeah.
But
And they beat him up. So it's kind of like, yeah, the 70s were rather bleak. Um,
yeah.
but this movie's awesome, though. It
Hmm.
is. And the
Every last
sequels are good
second.
too.
Mm.
So
Yeah, and
you have four sequels to look forward to.
I know. I can't wait. I was able to get one of those where you get all the movies on one DVD at the half price for $4.99. So it was quite a deal. So I definitely have that to look forward to. Good stuff. And slightly, the character, the bad guy, was based on the Zodiac killer
Hmm.
because some of the things that he did were things that the Zodiac guy had threatened, like the thing about the school bus. That was something that the Zodiac guy had said he might do. So
Yeah.
bad guys are out there. They suck. Well, and last but certainly not least, at least for me, it is the 90s movie. And my 90s movie that I chose was none other than dun 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 drum roll, The Rock. Never seen it before. And family members and Steve, everyone was saying, you gotta watch it. And so here we go. It was a 1990s movie with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery and Ed Harris, not playing a hero. He played a bad guy. Well, he played a gray character because he had a reason to be pissed off at the situation, but one could argue he went about it in the wrong way. He took a bunch of people hostage on, I wanted to say Azkaban, my gosh, Alcatraz during a tour and had some chemical weapons that he was going to land on San Francisco. So was going to murder maybe as many as 100,000 people if they didn't get a certain amount of money. Some of it was going to be going to the families of people that he believed were wrongfully killed in various ops, that some dirty work that no one admitted that the government did. So that's why the families never knew what happened to their loved ones. So he wanted some justice for that. So that's the premise. Nicolas Cage is a character who is an expert in chemical weapons, chemical warfare, but not used to necessarily being out working one-on-one with the bad guys. And Sean Connery is a prisoner who had been in prison for years and was kind of, don't take this the wrong way when I say a Hannibal Lecter character, not in the sense that he was crazy or anything like that. No, he was a good man deep down, but he was so good at escaping that, they had to like do all this over the top stuff. And they're like, don't turn your back on him. Don't do this. Don't do that. And of course they do. He does get the upper hand on people. He can escape from anything. And he's also a killing machine. But
Plus, he had also escaped Alcatraz
oh yeah,
back in
that
the
too.
day.
Yeah, so that's why they wanted to use him to do that. Yeah. Oh, hello, Black Lives, or Nick Cage and Sean Connery in the same movie. That's awesome. Yes, yes, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yes,
And
and
um,
Michael Bean and Tony Todd are in it too.
yes, yeah, it's an insane cast, and the action was good. The action was not over the top. As always, it's some things are slightly improbable, but we're talking about people that are the elite of the elite, and they are trained killers, trained for the army, or when we're dealing with chemical weaponry. So all the action takes place on there, and a little bit old fashioned in the sense that happy ending, but that's okay because I don't mind a happy ending now and then. But
Yeah,
thoroughly, thoroughly entertaining.
and Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage were great together.
Mm-hmm.
And Oh, good soundtrack.
Yes. And
But
really cool shots.
yeah, it's an awesome movie. Um, yeah, everyone should see this. It's one of those quintessential '90s movies, really.
hmm And your opinion has been that it's one of Sean Connery's best.
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
One of the best, though. I still think he did it. It did better acting in, well, or rather, he had more to work with in the Untouchables, which I think he
Yes,
won an Oscar for.
he did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Different role, apples and oranges.
yeah,
And of course, to me, he will always be James Bond. Okay, so everyone watched The Rock. And last but certainly not least, Stig's 90s action movie was Speed.
yeah. Hadn't seen it in ages. This was while both Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves were well known at the time. They were not big stars, but this
No.
kind of catapulted them
Yes.
into into stardom because this was a big hit, and this is a great action movie. Basically, the bad guy puts a bomb on a bus, and if it goes below a certain speed, it blows up with everyone in it. So the bus driver gets shot, and Sandra Bullock, who's on the bus, has to drive while Keanu Reeves tries to, all kinds of stuff to disarm the bomb and also try to find out where the bad guy is. Who is it's Dennis Hopper. Find out that early on, who is great at playing psychos because he looks psycho.
hmm
Jeff Daniels is in it as well, um, doing a good job as another, um, a cop who works with Keanu Reeves. Um, Not too much to say about it though. It's basically fix the problem within a time limit and keep driving fast. But
Yeah.
they have lots of traffic problems for them, right?
Yeah.
And they're also running out of gas at a certain time. And but yeah, fun movie, very rewatchable. I don't remember shit about the second movie, other than that Keanu Reeves didn't want to be in it, so he got recast. And I think it's a boat in that one. Sandra Bullock's in it though,
Yeah. And
driving a
I
boat
heard
instead of
that,
a bus.
yeah, I heard that that one was not as good as the other one.
Yeah, that's probably because we don't. That's probably why we don't have a three.
No.
But this one's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, incredibly implausible, though. I mean, even at the time, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
it's but within the framework of the story, it's fine.
yeah. You suspend your disbelief and just go enjoy the
Yeah,
ride.
this is not a documentary.
No, not at all. Okay, well, that is our top 10. And I was, we're not top 10, rather, our 10 movie challenge for January. And I was very happy I did it. It was a nice change of pace for me. And I'm going to go ahead and share because Steve did put like a whole thing together. And that's what I've been reading off of. So you can see, keep forgetting the name of, it's like a top Trump or top whatever it is. Um, it's a website that Steve
Yeah,
likes to use. Yeah.
yeah. I use that. Yeah, it's a topsters.org. You can make like little 25 lists on it. So I just put them in order from 1 to 10
Ah,
for this one. But there's room for three more rows.
yep. Well, okay. And so that's what we have here. And so I find it's fun. It's a good way to keep track of things. So everyone can do that.
Yeah,
And yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us in on this. And I did say this at the beginning of the stream. It's not exactly a joke because I think it's a nice challenge, but it is definitely a doable one, not one that is it's not going to cause you too much of a burden, but some men of course might find it a bit challenging, and I don't care if that's stereotypical that you have to watch the entire Pride and Prejudice, the 1995 version, So you can know what all the fuss is about, everybody. So why we love Mr. Darcy. So I will be eventually doing a live stream talking about Pride and Prejudice because I love it. So enjoy, get the misses, get somebody or some popcorn or some drinks, whatever you need to do. But it's fun to watch. And I have not watched it from beginning to end in a very, very long time. So I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? You should have done that during Pride Month just to troll people.
Oh no. Pride and Prejudice. Oh yeah, that's how you get in trouble. I'll get flagged. Get in trouble. Oh dear me. But yes, Pride and Prejudice is good stuff. And well, why don't we go ahead before we sign off and see tell everyone where we can find you.
On Mara's channel, uh, in 2.5 hours, I think. Yeah,
Uh,
we're doing our monthly top 10 movie list. So that'll be my second top 10 stream
yeah,
today.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but we've been at it since well, for over a year now,
Mm-hmm.
where we do our top 10 movies per year. This is our top 10 favorites, not necessarily the best movies of the year. Just so nostalgia and all that factors in. And we started in 1980, and we've done one stream per month, and now we're at 1996. So
Yay.
we'll be doing our favorite 1996 movies. Spoiler: The Rock might be on one of my list.
Well, there you go. So it'll be the second time in a day for Sneak. And this Saturday, we're all going to be on as well with Rennie, the Saturday morning at 11 Central. We're going to be talking about the Thrawn trilogy from the EU, the expanded universe of Star Wars, good Star Wars. And to me, these will always be the true sequels to The Return of the Jedi. So I'm looking forward to revisiting them.
Yeah, it was it was fun rereading. Um, the Thrawn trilogy was kind of it wasn't what started the EU,
Mm-hmm.
but it was what skyrocketed it. You know,
It was the first real serious story. Like the other ones were there, but this is like where they got a top tier writer. They put it out in a hardback once every year. Each new one came out, and yeah, it was a jumpstart for the 90s, which in my opinion was a heyday of the EU, even though the Del Rey era probably objectively was superior as far as story wise and cohesiveness, but there was just something that was inexplicably fun about that. So, and it'll be
yeah,
a reunion with Rennie because we used to do these book club things every Saturday morning.
I think that the Bantam era of Star Wars books feels more like Star Wars: A New Hope in tone,
Mhm.
uh, but the Del Rey feels more like Revenge of the Sith in tone.
Good point. Yes. And sadly, of course, cut short too soon, for which we shall always not be pleased at all with Disney Star Wars. But to me, I've gotten to the point where I'm able to put it completely out of my head because it doesn't exist. These are the stories that exist. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, I want to thank everyone in the chat who showed up today. And we had see DJ Play Nice, Archer Collins, Sort of Poopus Cooper, Salty Traveling Sea, the Sentinel. Yay, Sentinel's back. DJ Play Nice, Conroy, Adiga Outlaw. And if I missed anyone, it is not intentional. Things jump all over the place as we do it. And for those that are watching on the replay, please feel free to also put your movies in the comment section because yes, a lot of entertainment sucks nowadays. So just keep looking backward and finding what makes you entertained. So thank you, Steek, also. And stay tuned, everyone. There's lots more coming. I also have some letters of J.R. Tolkien on this Friday. That's my planned video. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to watch some fun action movies.